This movie made me so mad. I want my money back. I went to Civil War and I didn't see Captain America or Iron Man anywhere. Hi everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to give you my review of Alex Garland's latest film and A24's most expensive production to date, Civil War. But before we get started, at the end of the review, if I've earned... Hey!
Hi, Aunt.
What's going on?
Did you realize this is your 100th review?
Oh my god, you're right! 100 reviews! Wow. Can't believe I've been at this that long. Well, let's see how long it takes me to get to 200, I guess. Anyway, before we get started, you know exactly what to do at the end of the video. If I've earned it, please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new reviews. Now let's get into it. Civil War takes place in an alternate reality America in the not-so-distant future, where the president, played by Nick Offerman, has kind of become a tyrant, causing the American citizens to form their own factions and fight back, starting a civil war. There are the Western forces, consisting of an alliance between California and Texas. Yes, I am fully aware of how ironic that is. The Florida Alliance, and the Loyalist states that all fight on the side of the government. And right smack dab in the middle of this are a group of war journalists, including Stephen McKinley's Sammy, Wagner Moura's Joel, and Kirsten Dunst's Lee Smith, who all decide to make the journey through war-torn US from New York City to Washington, D.C. to interview the president before the war ends. But before they leave, they pick up a young prospective journalist, Jessie, played by Kaylee Spaney, who wants to take after Lee and become a war journalist herself. So they set off on the road, and between active war zones, encountering people who will shoot them dead on sight, and just dealing with the overall traumatic nature of what they're shooting, this journey is going to end up being anything but easy. Right away, let me clarify something, because I've seen a lot of people online complaining that this movie didn't really meet up to their expectations. Now, A24 is known for distributing movies that are very out there and don't connect with the general audience that well, and this is their most mainstream production to date, but at the end of the day, it's still an A24 movie, and the story is hardly told conventionally. It's not even really a war movie per se. You're not following a band of soldiers as they fight their way through the US to take siege on the White House. Instead, it's more of a thoughtful character study on these war journalists and how what they see every day impacts their lives, along with showing just how visceral and terrifying war can be by making it even more scary putting it on US soil. And this film wouldn't have pulled it off nearly as well as it did if it wasn't for the cast, the direction and writing from Alex Garland, the near flawless cinematography and visual effects, and the sheer amount of tension on display here. To start with the cast, this is one of Kirsten Dunst's best roles of her career. A mature, pondering role that sees her starting off as a cynical, hardened journalist who's seen the worst of the worst and basically cut herself off from feeling any emotion. And yeah, thanks to that, she's kind of unlikable in the beginning, especially when she meets Jessie. But as the movie goes on and she starts to see more of herself in that young, burgeoning journalist that came along with her, she really comes alive and shows some genuine emotion. And by the end, I felt like Dunst gave a truly versatile performance that totally drives home the themes of this film. Wagner Moura is great here as Joel too. A far cry from the more villainous roles he's played and voiced. Joel is a charmer and a man that is constantly seeking action and thrills of being caught up in these war zones as a press member. But this is never without heart, especially with his relationship with Jessie and the way that he either helps her and protects her during dangerous situations, or just talks to her to get her to calm down and try to get some sleep. He got several laughs out of me too, which I wasn't expecting in this movie, while also turning on the emotion with such strength that each time that the script calls for it, the way that he shows how he processes and handles these really messed up traumatic things that they see on their trip is honestly just haunting. Stephen McKinley is a welcome presence here as well, with his thoughtful, mature, no-nonsense, but still with a good sense of humor and personality, translating very well to the character of Sammy, along with providing a great fatherly persona for Lee to share some pretty sincere moments with. I don't have much to say about Nick Offerman as the president. He's in the movie for maybe a minute and a half, and he does fine. But the last cast member I'll talk about here is Kaylee Spaney's Jessie. I was fully invested in this movie and all of the characters throughout, but I was really drawn into her story. Watching her character journey from wide-eyed, naive journalist that just wants to get in the middle of the action to another one that's hardened and cynical and trying to cut off their emotions while doing their best to process the horrific shit that she sees is very compelling, and Spaney pulls it off naturally and effectively. Moving away from the cast, I absolutely have to praise Alex Garland's writing, cinematography, and direction here. I'll admit that I've been kind of mixed on his filmography so far. Out of his 3 feature films before this, I really adored Ex Machina and a lot of parts of Annihilation and Men, but man, was I let down by a lot of Annihilation, especially its pretentious ending, and I felt the exact same way about Men, only I was more angry after watching that one. But here, Garland takes a very grounded, literal approach to the subject matter. Not not watering it down with sequences that have nice visual appeal but no real depth to them besides just being pretentious like he did in his last two films. Garland writes this as a cautionary tale, but not necessarily for citizens of America, rather more about not letting the government and the president get to this level of tyranny in the first place. I truly appreciate his decision to just focus on that and the journalism aspect of it too, not turning this into what I completely expected from the first trailer and having it be an overly modern, politically charged movie that pits the left against the right and has a very clear winner. It's Hollywood, so you can guess who that winner would be. No, there's none of that partisan bullshit here. This is a powerful, moving film that can be appreciated by anybody regardless of political leaning, and the natural, compelling way it goes about communicating its messaging cannot be understated. And that's without even mentioning the cinematography, with realistic, grounded shots of warfare from the perspective of the people involved in it that puts you right in their shoes, and grand, sweeping helicopter shots of desolated stadiums or freeways or highways to stunning shots of cities in the middle of warfare. And even when the imagery is haunting or disturbing, which does happen quite a lot in this movie, it's still very beautiful. Speaking of disturbing though, this movie is not for the faint of heart. The violence isn't frequent, but when it does come, it's shown in a very unflinchingly realistic way that doesn't shy away from the blood and gore, nor from the impact that this has on the people around it. This leads me to the last thing I want to praise about this movie: the tension. The sheer amount of tension on display here is so palpable to the point that you never really let your guard down while watching. Between the music and what you've seen in this film, there's always a feeling of unease that even in the most lighthearted, calm moments, you're never totally sure if things are going to be okay. And you definitely never expect when shit is going to hit the fan, even though you're kind of ready for it with how tense you are. And the fact that this movie does this so expertly and maintains that tension throughout pretty much the entire film is honestly incredible. I don't even have any real complaints here. I'm not sure if it'll make my top 10 of the year just because it was such an intense watch, and I'm not sure if I'll even want to watch it again anytime soon. But damn it, this isn't a thought-provoking, well-acted, and expertly crafted cautionary tale of war and the impact it can not just have on your home, but the dedicated war journalists who throw themselves right in the middle of the action to capture it. And that's my review of Civil War. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this review, you know exactly what to do. If I've earned it, please leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss any of my new reviews. While you're at it, you can scroll down in the description, find the links to my socials, leave a comment, let me know if you saw the movie and what you thought, or you can click or tap on these cards right here. It'll take you to my review of Monkey Man, or just over to my channel where you can check out my reviews, my shorts, and my old shit. Thanks for watching my 100th review, everybody, and I will see you next time for my review of Sting.